So many good things. Welcome to the podcast. Hi, I'm Shelby Stokes.
Kelly Schenfeld.
Polly Schenfeld. Hey, did you miss me?
Yes. Maybe you should get here every week, sir.
You want to hear my story about my sleeping car?
Buy a new car.
Kelly's still on the new car train.
Yes, I would use the F word, but that's inappropriate on a professional podcast.
GoFundMe.
He needs a GoFundMe.
page.
Polly needs a new car, people.
Maybe. It's back in the shop. Took it back to the shop.
No.
Yes.
Just take it to the dump.
But this could be the time it goes to the shop and comes back perfectly.
Yeah.
This could be the time.
That's right.
This could be it.
This could be it. Fingers crossed.
You don't seem to be all that. You don't seem to have all that much faith in the shop right now.
Just
It's
replace
not the shop,
the parts
it's the
that
fact.
you build for.
No.
That's all I ask.
No.
Yes.
Here's what you
It
do.
is.
Follow your wife's instructions and buy
She
new
has taken a 180
car.
degree.
Oh, is that
Well,
right?
Yes. she
Hold her
has.
to the first one.
Yeah.
She doesn't get hold her to the first one.
Backpedaling.
Honey,
Wait.
this is the budget we would be living under. Oh, in that case,
She's like,
maybe-
we're going to have this paid off in 3 months. No, I don't want to get out.
What good does a paid off car do if it's constantly in the shop?
I mean,
Anyway,
this
so
will be the
let's
last time
talk
we're going to shop. Yeah, definitely. So today we're going to dive into audience makeup and knowing the vibe of your room. Before we turn the camera on, we were talking about a little bit of a family rift because somebody put something very political on the internet, and now it's kind of gumming up an entire event that we had planned 9 months ago now, or whatever it is. But it's like, pull grenade pin, throw in middle.
Yes.
And now people are reaching out and saying, hey, I don't feel comfortable being in this environment.
Yeah.
And it throws off the whole vibe.
It does throw off the whole vibe. So let's put that into the perspective of the charity world.
Well, I mean, we totally can, right?
Yeah.
Because each one of these rooms has like a different political makeup.
Yes.
And you have to know what kind of room you're walking into or
For
what kind of
jokes or
event
for anything.
you're setting up,
Yeah.
right?
That's right.
Definitely.
So it goes to your audience development even, to backtrack it. And when you are placing things on social media, I think it is a very, very important thing to remember that it's okay to have your opinion. However, if you are connected to or if you are wanting to ask for support from someone, an entity, a company, a group, you have to be mindful in that. Now, I do the social media for our company, and I do Instagram, and I do Facebook. And all you'll see on my Facebook is maybe a grandchild memory that comes up,
Yes.
and I post that because it tugs at my heart. Or I just take what I post on Stokes Auction Group, which, 75% of it's okay. Some of it isn't. It's a little boring, but
No, it's not.
You know,
No. It's great.
it's
You need
not.
to follow
It's
it. You need
meaningful.
to know
follow
what's
it.
happening.
Yeah,
So here's been our struggle with social media in general is because we serve such a diverse group of individuals that are raising money for so many different things. We want to be respectful of those organizations and not offend them. So it's been a
Yes.
very difficult space for our company to interact with because our goal as a fundraising host or auctioneer or a team is to go in and raise that environment in whatever direction they're going and push in the right direction. Now, obviously, there's like certain things that we will not do, right? There are lines that we will not cross.
Right.
Right? We just completely agree with that. But it's really put us in a very unique scenario. And I think you, as a person putting on an event, have to find the commonalities in your audience and be aware of them.
as well as using your social media presence to see that you have a diverse room and bring that room together under something that every political view, every religious view would agree on. And there are those things that exist.
See, and I would challenge you
Really?
that. I would challenge you on that.
Does that exist?
It does exist. Does everybody can agree that saying the sun came out today and it made me think of a beautiful future. Boom. It's a meme and you post it.
I guess like my
You're not the social media person, so you don't know what you're talking about.
But what I'm getting at is like when you bring a group of people into a room, you are uniting under one banner. And what the belief of that room is could be very difficult than a whole different room of people located on the other side of the country.
Agreed.
A perfect example is we are very blessed to have fundraising events all over this beautiful nation of the United States, North America. And there are certain areas where we have to pick and choose the hosts that will go into those rooms based on the political climate of that room.
Yes.
Right? You wouldn't put somebody that politically disagrees into a room that is completely the opposite. So that said, like, you have to know your room, and when you're uniting people, find the commonalities and push in that direction. But know that if you're going to be on social media, you're going to be treading light. I would hope that you would tread lightly, and some people are going to choose not to tread lightly. Like, we've seen that. And we're going into an election year, folks.
Yeah.
So get ready.
That's the whole thing.
But what comes out
that's
of
the whole reason.
what comes out of not treading lightly if you want to send a good message? And it doesn't have to be a view. It doesn't have to be your political side. It doesn't have to be your religious view.
But good message. Like, defining good message is very different. Like, the church down the street is going to have a different good message than the atheist down the street. Atheist down the street, right? Those are going to be two different messages, and they're going to both define them as good in their mind.
What would an atheist group and a religious group agree on? That's my point. Find that commonality. And there are those there. You can use your social media platform.
But I guess I challenge the perspective in which you're coming from, right? For us, we find the good in each of those organizations. If you're trying to rally a group of people and you are an atheist group, you're going to try to find, 200 people of the like mind to bring them into a room and try to raise money for your cause.
Or what are you going to bring them? Are you going to bring the like-minded people? Or when you're raising money, are you looking to raise money? And are like-minded people always going to have that, like, I'll give you a perfect example. You have a small silent auction for a group of people. You're supporting a group of people that has addiction issues. Okay? Now, you're not inviting the people that have the addiction issues to the event. You are inviting the people that will raise funds to help said group of people.
Right.
Do you have alcohol at that event?
I mean, I think that
they do not have an addiction problem.
I think it's based on the group that you're bringing together. Like, it seems like it'd be very, I mean, I think we're kind of in the weeds a little bit on this.
We are, but my point, I'm not making my point clear. My point is that I do believe that if you use your social media for positive, and it's not super opinionated.
Yeah.
And especially if it's for an organization, then you're on the right path. If you're using that platform to share your opinion, remember that it's not that community that's seeing it, it's the world.
Yeah. We were kind of talking about this at lunch. Like, the kids that are coming up right now in society, like, their entire path is going to be documented to some extent.
Yep.
Right? And that's a scary place to be. I have memories in my existence where it was like, I said something that probably wasn't very nice back in the day coming up. You kind of learn those guardrails to be on. And having it documented, when it's up, it's up.
It's up, it'll go away.
Forever.
And it's there forever.
Forever.
Yeah. Now, I will say there's so much noise, it's kind of hard to continue to have that message stick to you to the extent that it did in the past. But
just be mindful when you're posting. I try to be mindful, very mindful of that. And that, that's why I post the pictures or the warm and fuzzy stuff. Or you won't see a post come out of me that isn't thinking broad.
Well, maybe you need to be a little bit more bold, Kelly. If you're not offending people, you're not doing it.
No. I will offend people on this podcast.
You're fired.
Because this is YouTube.
I
will offend people here.
Fired? I don't care what they say.
I'm not going to offend people.
I am just very surprised that this has become a part of the lexicon of our business.
Yeah.
Why is this an issue? Why do I have to be told, "Hi, Mr. Schenfeld, welcome to Grand Rapids, Michigan. Oh, by the way, you're in a room full of conservatives, so don't say anything anti-conservative.
Yeah.
Or, welcome to Raleigh, North Carolina. You're in a room full of liberals. I just want to make sure you're not going to say anything that's going to offend these liberal attendees. To me, if we are getting to that point in our business, we need to do something about it, Shelby. We need to say, hey, just like it used to be, here's what you don't talk about.
Yeah.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yep.
Everybody loves cute kittens and puppies and flowers and trees and oceans and water.
Rainbows and butterflies.
Rainbows and
Some
butterflies.
butterflies.
Focus on that.
So, I mean, so yes, right? I mean, I think that one thing that our company has done very well
That
in
was
the
my
past
stomach. I apologize.
is essentially like playing in a place where we can have fun, but it's to not the expense of other people, nor is it to push an agenda that's offensive.
Yes.
Right? That has been kind of where we have lived. Now, there are times where we have people get on stage and put their foot in their mouth, like we did this weekend, or a couple weekends ago.
I mean,
where,
not us.
Let me
say
but,
we, not us.
but not us, but maybe us. So essentially, we were asking for money. The auctioneer was trying to calculate the total in their head, and essentially did not have the right number. Said the number. The crowd corrected him in terms of what the dollar amount actually was rather than what he said. And the response was, sorry, folks, I'm a product of public education.
Big mistake!
In a certain room, that probably would have been a very funny joke. And even saying it out loud, you're like, okay, that's a pretty good line. That's
But
a
your
good
wife
line.
is a teacher, my daughter is a teacher.
I'm
so
married
it's
to a
not.
teacher,
Yeah, so
and
it's
in
not.
that audience was somebody that was very involved in the public school system and took offense to that comment.
Yep.
So what I'm getting at is like you never know who's in the audience. So something that may seem like a very funny joke in one respect, you don't know who's in the room or what walk of life. Now, if you were to say that exact same line, raising money for a private school, you probably would have had it would have been.
You're right.
People would have responded differently to that joke, is what I'll say.
I see.
But because it was said in the room in which it did not go over well. So I guess all that to say, when you are building your audience, when you are putting together a show or a fundraising event, you have to be conscious of what is playing out in the room and what the political agenda is to some extent. That's my point.
I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
And you cannot deny the fact that politics is part of our lives today, especially because it's an election year.
Right.
This is the biggest thing that's on most people's minds. Mm-hmm. And the divide is getting bigger and bigger. And you're right. We have to tread very lightly on this.
I feel
Or be
like,
conscious
why
of
should
it.
it be the biggest thing on our mind? Why then should it be the biggest thing on our mind?
Because our goal as fundraisers is to ensure the flow of money from the private or public sector to the nonprofit sector. That is our goal. So when that gets hung up in terms of that money moving from one entity to the latter, that's where we have issue.
Agreed.
Yeah.
But we are hired to come into a room regardless of the organization. We are hired to come into that room and help them raise as many dollars as they possibly can to either cure something, benefit something, ensure somebody attending something. So why could you not put those base rules with the current political climate as what we do and don't do?
What is your North Star?
My North Star?
Yeah. And I think you just said it. To go into a room and,
And
raise
help
money.
people. Yeah.
That's your North Star. Mm-hmm. With the people that are watching this, whether it be somebody fresh out of auction school, whatever the case may be, that North Star can change and shift, right?
Well, we will tell you what your North Star is.
We will tell you what you want to believe. Because the other event that we had this weekend had to do, it was a Ducks Unlimited event. Mm-hmm. And there's Adam Micah, shout out to you. He was very excited to have our first time in this room. And it sounded like it was not the fundraising environment he was used to being in.
It's because there were 42 items.
That's
and
right.
13 dessert dashes.
Right.
And 72 by the heads.
Did you talk to him?
No.
Oh
not
my
yet.
goodness, because that is like on the money what happened,
Really?
right?
Yeah, it's a Ducks Unlimited. I mean,
He calls me and he goes, you told me, Shelby, you told me, here's what happened. And sure enough, like, you could just check them off the list. And he goes, do you remember what you told me? I was like, did I tell you this, this, and this? And he goes, exactly what you told me. I'm like, okay. But I think it was a good experience.
Absolutely.
Right? I mean, it's funny because Michael was in that room, and it wasn't like 2 weeks ago he was having like a 5-star, $1 million experience. And
now he's like, wah, wah. Not that Ducks Unlimited is special, because they do great work.
Yes, they do. Very
environmentally friendly.
But I think to tie it back into where we're coming from, what is the vibe of that room?
Yep.
What is the North Star of that room? What are they trying to accomplish? And quite often, those Ducks Unlimited events are much more raffle hunter based. Yes. In other words, people are coming to win a gun or a hunting trip or a fishing trip or whatever the case may be, right? Mm-hmm. So like their group is very different than you would see somebody that would be offended by the comment that we just covered, right?
Right.
So knowing the vibe of your room and what you're trying to accomplish really dictates quite a bit about your event. Because Michael probably walked in there saying, oh, we're going to do the best we can. And then it's 100, 200. No, how about 150? Who'll give 1 1/4?
Who'll give 25?
Right, yeah. And that's just okay, because their goal of that room is not to see an item sell for $10,000. It's
to see 10,000 items sell for $1.
And again, no shade to Ducks Unlimited. No. It's just a different vibe.
Yeah, they really have. And over the last, 5 or 10 years, they've really focused on environmental
and
issues.
done some work.
Yes.
And a lot of work. Conservation.
Yeah.
And climate change
a tough
issues.
Room.
It's a tough room, and I think part of the reason is and I don't know Ducks Unlimited as intimately as I should, but I know in the past what I've noticed is every Ducks Unlimited is broken up kind of by county. Mm-hmm. So what you see some counties that have a very well executed fundraising auction in the very traditional sense, and other counties are focused on different things that aren't auction forward.
Yeah.
So it really depends on where their effort, energy, and focus is.
Well, we did a Ducks Unlimited in Southern Cal, I want to say 8 years ago, maybe.
And at the time, that was one of their biggest
ones. It was in that car museum in, I think it was in San Diego. Where's that car museum in Southern Cal? Beautiful cars.
Can't remember, really.
Anyway, and we thought, Ducks Unlimited, this is going to be tough.
No.
So again, that speaks to your point of know the community. You could have a Ducks Unlimited in Southern Cal with people with loaded dollars that really support that, and it's a killer one. It's great. Or you can have it in Port Orchard with 25 apple pies made by Nana Billy, and
earlier in this podcast, I was saying, well, it depends on what neck of the woods you're in. I can tell you, in Washington State, there is such a mixed bag here that you could be. You got to know your room, right?
Absolutely right. That's a good point.
You don't know. Like, you cross the mountains and things start leaning a little differently.
And
then you stay on this side of the mountains and you're like, oh, well, if you go too far north or south, things change pretty drastically.
Yes.
So it's going to change based on your community or the makeup of the people that are consuming your content. So back to the social media, you've got to know your audience.
And I believe that instead of having red or blue, we should just have purple, because when you mix red and blue together, it creates the color purple.
Doing some finger painting earlier today.
No, but back to your point, people. That though it is important. I think you have to be mindful on your social media of who's watching that or who's looking into that. If you've invited new guests to your event that haven't been to your event before, really be cognizant of what's on your social media, because this is how people are going to, when we have somebody new or we know we're doing something new, we check all of it out.
Right.
We go to Instagram, we go to Facebook, we go to LinkedIn, we check it all out. You just go to Wikipedia, you check it out. What has their activity been? What are they doing? What are these people involved in? Is that something I want to be a part of? And so if I use that as a tool to figure out what somebody that invites me to something is up to, you can darn sure get the message that they're doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So just be careful. Don't be an idiot.
The professional of the individuals on the microphones and delivering the message is very critical here.
Yeah.
I mean, if you don't know what you're getting into, just play it safe.
Oh.
Play it safe.
Play it safe.
Even if you do know what you're getting into, I would question, it to be borderline inappropriate to go over those boundaries. And I know some people want to push that boundary just so they can find where that boundary is. Sometimes some people are just motivated by that. I want to see how far I can go with this, right? That's just not me.
Yeah.
And I just treat every room the same and
you talk
rainbows and butterflies and cute kittens and puppies.
And I think if that's your heart, like most of the time you're going to land on a cloud, right? I have stuck my foot in my mouth so many times.
Oh, yeah.
And like to wrap back around and apologize one-on-one to that entity.
Very difficult.
Not difficult, but it goes a long way.
It does
like, hey,
go a
I
long
said
way.
that. I heard how it sounded. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I didn't mean to offend you. I think it goes a long way.
It does go a long way,
does.
but it can be difficult to do.
Once the damage is done,
Once the damage is done, it's done. So, when you're talking about bringing your room together and walking, seeing what the boundaries are and this, that, and the other thing, just remember going back that you are there to raise money for who hired you to bring you here, and you are also an arm of them. So if there are people from Auction College watching this, whoever hires you, you are their arm. You also don't know who's sitting next to you. We were placed at a table this last weekend, and we sat right next to the head of the organization.
Yeah. National org.
National org.
Organization. Yeah.
Big guy.
Yeah.
Big guy. And a little chilly in the beginning, and of course, 5 minutes after talking to us, he was super warm, but it was wonderful. So
I'll share this last comment with you that came to mind. So one of the fundraisers we did recently ran out of dinners, which we never like to see.
Oh,
When
no.
somebody runs out of dinners,
Yikes.
it's never good. So what they did, the catering staff, is they had chicken tenders in the back. So instead of dinner they ran out of, they started serving chicken tenders. Well, auctioneer goes to sell the first item and says, "Congratulations, you won! Winner, winner, chicken dinner."
so beautiful. I mean, you could not
That
expect
is
that.
hilarious.
The auctioneer had no idea this had happened.
He had no
None.
idea.
And then everybody's in the back just like, really, of all the things to say, that's what you choose to say. So, yeah.
It also shows that we're human.
It does.
That
It
is
does.
funny. That is hilarious.
Yeah.
Well, guys, thanks for joining us this week and every week. We truly appreciate it. You guys have anything else before we sign out?
No, hey, just keep your heart right and your vision clear, and it's all going to work out.
It's all going to work out.
Yeah, this isn't the Emmy Awards. We're not hosting that. We're not trying to push the issue here, okay? Just stick to the facts.
I mean, I'll
But
host
it is
the
a
Emmy
pretty good
Awards.
show, so tell your friends to check in. I mean, we're not terribly boring, but,
No, we're not.
We're
There's
working
no but.
away
We're not terribly boring.
we're
period,
working
end
away
of
from
sentence.
vanilla. We're working away from vanilla.
And we're somewhere in off vanilla land right
We're
now.
not quite Neapolitan
Yeah,
yet.
we got a couple of sprinkles on the vanilla.
We got a little
That's for
sprinkles.
sure. It's definitely kicking it up. Well, thanks
Definitely
for
no
joining us.
cherries.
No cherries. We will see you next week.
Bye.
All right, be well,
Okay.
gang. Later.
Go do good.
Lots of good.
All the good.